Imaginary friends. Life's an everyday adventure. That's my philosophy. My mother and I walk to the library just about every week. It is such a nice walk, and we always have fun chatting. When we arrived today, the librarian, Mrs. Page, told us we were just in time for story time. What a great surprise! My mother and I looked for a place to sit on the floor. I wasn't sure what book Mrs. Page was going to read to us today, but I figured it must be a good one since the room was packed with so many kids and their parents. A boy next to me was talking to his mom about his imaginary friend. I knew it wasn't polite to listen, but I couldn't help myself. I heard him ask his mom to move over to make room for his imaginary friend. I giggled a little and looked at my mother. She knew exactly why I was giggling because she was listening too. We both moved over a little to make room for his imaginary friend. As I did, I noticed my toes tingling in my moccasins. I giggled again. After the story, my mother and I found some good books to take home for the week. We checked them out with Mrs. Page and filled my backpack for the walk home. We were having a great time on our walk home, but I couldn't stop thinking about the boy and his imaginary friend. Why did he create his friend? How long had he known him? Who was this friend? Did he always have the same imaginary friend? By the time we got home, I had officially decided that I wanted an imaginary friend too. I just didn't know how to get one. I headed outside with the dog to sit under my favorite tree and begin my imaginary friend search. After a few minutes of thinking, it occurred to me the perfect imaginary friend would be a genie. Genies could make any wish come true. I was so pleased with myself that I started inventing the shape of the genie's bottle. Then I thought about what color his hair would be and what kind of clothes he would wear. Creating an imaginary friend was fantastic. Once I knew what the genie looked like, I wondered what kind of friend he would be. I remembered that genies only come out of the bottle when you make a wish. I would be allowed 3 wishes, which would mean I would only see him 3 times. Perhaps a genie is not the best imaginary friend, since he will just give me what I want, then leave. Aha! What about a baby dinosaur? I've always wanted to meet a dinosaur, and a baby T-Rex would be really cute. I immediately knew what I would call her. Rexy. I was giggling to myself as I imagined us playing hide and seek. She wouldn't know how big her tail was, so I would always find her. Next, I imagined us playing soccer and cuddling up reading books. Then I thought about what to feed her. I think she would grow so much that she would always be eating and wouldn't really have any time for fun. I thought more about it and suddenly decided that a baby dinosaur imaginary friend might be too much work and not enough fun. I went inside to get a drink of water. All of this thinking made me very thirsty. As I drank, the water reminded me of the ocean, and the ocean reminded me of mermaids. That's it! A mermaid would be an excellent imaginary friend. I ran back outside to think it through a bit more. She would have long red hair, and her tail would be the prettiest rainbow-colored tail there ever was in the ocean. Her father was scared for her to talk to humans, so he would always send a bunch of seahorses to follow and protect her. She would give the seahorses little fish crackers so that they wouldn't tell on her. I was dreaming about the mermaid telling me stories of life in the sea, and I would tell her about life on land. We would have a wonderful time swapping stories until I realized she would have very little time to play. My imaginary mermaid friend would not be able to be out of the water very long, or her tail would dry out. I was starting to think I would never find an imaginary friend. Then I thought about my real friends. I thought of Marco first. It would be great to have an imaginary friend like him. Wait, I don't have to imagine him. I can just call him because he's real. I ran inside, called him, and invited him over. A couple of minutes later, Marco and his mom were at our door. We both let out a yahoo and ran into the backyard. We spent the rest of the afternoon playing every game we could imagine. Imaginary friends are great when you have some time to let your imagination soar. But real friends are the best. Molly Moccasins, everyday adventurer.